10 Tampa Bay, and we are talking about a very active afternoon. In fact, the big story was we needed to seize the sunshine as we started the weekend. While it's not a washout, things are going to change dramatically this afternoon, this evening, and again on Sunday. So we take a look outside. We got the boxes up here. So you see the top left, you've got the beautiful blue skies and cumulus clouds in downtown Tampa. And then you go to the middle, there's our high resolution futurecast saying, yeah, those fair weather clouds going to give way to some stratus and nimbostratus rain clouds this afternoon, and really peaking out around 6 o'clock. And then the bottom screen, there you go. We already have some rain across the area. So out toward Clearwater Beach, Pier 60, lower visibility now. So as I walk over to the wall and take a look at this with you, yeah, things are a-changing here in Tampa Bay. And as we take a look at some of that rain, we're talking about no surprises, really. We said if we got any showers to start this morning, would be on the lighter side. So we're talking about as the day goes on, that's when we get the widespread downpours and the torrential rain. So officially, we still have that weather impact alert 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. That'll be the heaviest of the rain for the day. And then we'll get a break this evening, although we could have some lingering showers until pretty late tonight. Sunday, a different day. It could be more of a washout. So as we said all along, today actually the better of the 2 days. You see some of that better right now behind me with the beautiful blue skies in downtown Tampa. So hopefully folks just enjoying Bayshore Boulevard or just walking around the beautiful downtown, having a little brunch before the widespread heavy rain and downpours start to fill in along with that flood threat. So really here in Tampa, we're used to the rain, right? This is our rainy season, but nature taking that rainy season to the next level. All right, an elevated flood risk. Okay, so we've got rain and we've got excessive rain. And today we're more in the excessive category. So we are going to need to stream 10 Tampa Bay Plus. I want to thank you for joining me here at 12:02 here live. And we're turning on our notifications because like yesterday afternoon, we could see some of these downpours add up and hurry. In fact, we had some flood advisories in Pasco County, had some flood advisory in Manatee, flash flood warning in Hillsborough County. So it's not going to take much for these showers to really add up there. And you can see a pretty good gully washer actually coming down toward Pier 60 right now. So as we look at radar, we take a look. We don't have a big severe weather threat at this point. Okay, this is all due to a tropical wave that's crossing Florida at this point. So really just some enhanced lift in the atmosphere at this point. We don't have a lot of wind in the mid and upper levels. We don't have a lot of the wind shear you need for severe weather to really kind of twist and turn some of the storms and bring some of that wind down to the ground level. So today really about being careful on the roadways and that flood threat. And as we zoom in to beautiful Pinellas, yeah, we're talking about Clearwater Beach, some of the hot spots, so to speak, on the weekend. This is where folks like to hang out there, especially on that beautiful sand. But right now, yeah, we talk about some heavy rain along Coronado Drive, off towards State Road 60 across the Courtney Campbell. But once you get a little farther to the west, yeah, you go into some sunshines. But today, again, I think it's one of the days where I think all of us getting on these showers. So even though parts of the area like Palmetto Street missing out on the rain to begin with, once you go across 19, you will get in on some rain as we head into later this afternoon. But look at the precipitation rates. That's what we're talking about today. 1-2 inches per hour. I believe Lakewood Ranch had 3 inches per hour yesterday, 3.5 inches to be official. So let's go right to the model data, what everybody needs to know, right? And this is the one that's updated most often. So the high resolution futurecast is verifying, yeah, some of those very spotty, isolated coastal showers to start. But again, we said we had a wave moving from east to west across Florida today. So really, the farther east you go, these areas will start to see the rain earlier in the day. So we're going to see Polk County light up, Lake Wales to Lakeland, and then some of the heavier showers start to fill in just after 2. That's why we have that weather impact alert. Model doing pretty well right now. You can see the spotty showers become more widespread, yeah, by 4 o'clock. And kind of looks like the boxcars on a railroad track. We're going to see one after another, not a one and done kind of day from Orlando to Lakeland to Tampa. And you see some of those bright colors really filling in. So I still think right around 5-6 o'clock, prime time for the heaviest rain. That's when we could see the best chance of those flood warnings. And yes, unfortunately, yeah, once you get toward I-75, and the I-4 junction, okay, and I-275 to the west, that's going to be your heaviest rain. So really the coastal counties as this all shifts off to the west as we head through the afternoon. But notice I said we could have some lingering rain well into the evening. Here it is, 10:20. Not getting a break from the rain. At least the heaviest rain will be over, okay? So we're just keep in mind there are going to be some wet roadways out there. I know there's a lot of plans. I know it's tough, but we're going to just take it easy so we can enjoy the rest of the weekend. In fact, overnight, good sleeping weather. Sunday, 4 a.m. looking good. And then as we go through Sunday, we're going to change things up again where the rain comes a little earlier in the day. So we said there's rain and there's excessive rain. So for today and tomorrow, you got this big stripe of green across the Sunshine State. So for a state known for its sunshine, kind of ironic, huh? That's the way nature works. So our excessive rainfall outlook, you got a 1 out of 4 here, 2 out of 4, slight, moderate, high. So really the rule of thumb is this doesn't happen all too often in Florida. It doesn't matter if you're a 1, 2, 3, or 4. If you see a 1 or a green stripe, we've got to take that flood risk seriously. And you see up toward Brunswick and southeast Georgia, they've already had some flood issues today, and they could see some more rain as well. And then things will slowly taper by Monday for back to school, and even looking better Tuesday. So next week we'll transition back to we go from the deluge back to the dry and the hot. All right, as we go through the week. And it's not going to be totally dry. We'll see that classic setup with those pop-up late day storms like we normally see. So a stormy weekend, we put this together. You know, we use the scales as meteorologists. We love our numbers. And when you're starting with a ½ inch on your scale, 1, 2, 3 inches, that sums up the pattern. So things are really lit up here. We said I-75 to the west for the heaviest rain, and we'll have that rain really peak by late day, early evening. There's our high of 90. We'll get a little break from the heat maybe. And then it's going to be plenty humid though. 89 degrees Sunday, morning and afternoon rounds of rain, and unfortunately some more training rain. So actually, if anything, coverage, I put just as high, maybe a little higher on Sunday. And the worry on Sunday is, you know, folks getting ready to go to those brunches, all excited to get the day started, but unfortunately on Sunday, that rain could come earlier in the morning. So I had to put morning and afternoon rounds of rain. So that weather impact alert, I moved up just a smidge to cover it by 10 a.m. So let's come back, take a look at the drought conditions across the area. So if we're going to get rain on a weekend, there better be a good reason, is what I always say, and perhaps it's taking a little while to wake up. But I tell you what, on this, there it goes. We got moderate drought across a good portion of the area, still to the north of us. Hard to believe. I mean, we're at the peak of the rain season. This doesn't happen too often, okay? So I believe the last time we had a drought this late in the season, you had to go back to 2022. So it's been about 3 years. So for our friends in Pasco, Hernando, Citrus, this one's for you. You're welcome. Get some of that needed rain there. But yes, just be careful on the roadways. And as we look at our year-to-date rainfall, we've got, Brooksville. Our friends up in Brooksville, I always say it's a beautiful day, Brooksville. Well, 8.83 inches is not so beautiful. That's a big deficit. Winter Haven, we got that rain deficit over 7 inches. Sarasota, one of the spots that's in a surplus. Okay, so that's quite a dramatic change. -8 to +1.5. And then for Tampa officially, a little bit below average for the year as well at 3.2 inches. So we'll keep a track of it. I do think we're going to be playing catch up here, and nature's going to make up for some lost time. So let's look at this hour by hour. So we're planning our day here, streaming live with you here at 12:08. And it looks like, as we go through the next couple of hours, we're starting to see the transition. All right, some blue skies. I showed you the fair weather cumulus clouds over Tampa, but then here it comes. Building clouds models, this is the latest information. So they are actually showing the storms, they're on track. 4, 6, 8 o'clock, southeast winds start to kick in with those temperatures falling to near 80. So I know there's a lot of folks heading out tonight. I'm ready for football, are you? Okay, I know the Tampa Bay Bucks are ready, and as you go to Raymond James Stadium, the hardest part's going to be getting there. All right, let's face it, it's going to be tough driving on I-75, all right? Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard, we just want to make sure we leave a little extra space. This is one of those days where you can be driving along and it's easy to lose control of your car. You just have to be total concentration, leave a little extra space, and yes, if you can't see, when in doubt, sit it out. Pull over until the heavier shower passes. But unfortunately, we have a high weather impact for the kickoff. So notice a 60% chance as we kick it off at 7 o'clock, temperature of 80 degrees. So for the Tennessee Titans, hopefully that'll help us get some fumbles, right? All right, we'll sack the quarterback as well. And then as we go through the day, by the time we get into the first, second quarter, especially toward halftime, things should start to improve. We'll go from those high rain chances to just medium to low weather impact during the game. So again, be extra careful, take the ponchos getting there, and send in your football pictures out at Raymond James Stadium. All right, so we take a look at the overall current conditions outside. Let's take a look. Well, there's Clearwater Beach. It's a tale of two cities. 86 with the heavier shower right now. And then you go to Raymond James. There it is. Still some blue skies just barely hanging on. Unfortunately, the blue skies, little heating and instability taking place in the atmosphere. So that's actually going to add fuel to the fire, so to speak, and we'll have some increasing showers and storms. 88 degrees right now. It feels like temperature of 98. Let's go from where you live, county by county. And yes, we love you, Crystal River, Brooksville, Hudson, Zephyr Hills. All right, I-75 corridor. Oh, I remembered you, Wesley Chapel. Okay, you're going to be drenched. There it is. Prime time for the rain between 5 and 8 o'clock. So usually here in Florida, we get a splash and dash. A lot of times an hour or less. Now today's not going to be like that. 3, 4, 5 hours of rain. Flooding. And we're also talking lightning as of my big two. Tough travel, and continue to stream us here on 10 Tampa Bay. We swing down to Tarpon Springs. Yeah, one of my favorite places. The sponge docks will be soggy. Torrential rain coming in between 3 and 8 o'clock. And as we look at this map here, so you have St. Pete, Tarpon Springs, Clearwater Beach, Sand Key. It looks like, you know, the flooding 2 to 4 inches plus the rain. Really, the rain would be centered over Brandon, Fishhawk, areas off to the east of I-75. As we start, okay, 3, 4 o'clock. So for the timing out toward Brandon a little earlier. And then as you head toward downtown Carrollwood, Land O'Lakes, you're going to see that transition 4 to 5. And then by the time we head to the coast, a little closer to the beaches here, Pinellas Park, watching you carefully along with Oldsmar, okay, Safety Harbor. Looks like by 5:30, 6 o'clock, you'll see the heaviest rain as everything continues. Again, we're moving from the east to the west this afternoon, so we're allowed extra time and continue to stream. If you have dinner plans, I know not the best timing. Make sure you have the umbrella for the wife. My wife doesn't like it. My boy, you don't want my wife to get wet, so have the umbrellas for your date, and make sure you open the car door for her as well, and just get there safely. We go to the south, Manatee and Sarasota County. This is one of the areas that actually had some heavier rain this morning, especially towards Sarasota and Manatee counties, Englewood, Venice, and maybe that'll stabilize the atmosphere a little bit, but it's not going to last all day. So you see the clock lit up in red between 4 and 8 o'clock. That'll be the heaviest rain. Flooding, 1 to 3 inches of rain, lightning, slick travel. You know the drill. So Bradenton, Sarasota, Lakewood Ranch will be watching you carefully along with Duet. And then inland, okay, we're soaked everywhere. I know Polk, Hardy, DeSoto, I'm sorry, but hey, you're one of the areas that won't see as much rain. I think you'll be closer to the ½ inch to 1 inch of rain. A couple of isolated pockets near 3, but you know, Arcadia, Lake Placid, Avon Park, Lake Wales, we'll be ready for that soaker and some occasional showers and storms between 2 and 6 o'clock over some of those same spots. And I did put in a chance of a 40 to 50 mile per hour wind gust, but even that's going to be tough to get there. It's more about the rain, tough travel, and we're streaming 10 Tampa Bay. So a little more instability as you go inland. We look at tomorrow. All right, can we get a break? Well, get up. Get at them, as I like to say. Get it done. Get it done early. We've got the best part of the day as we wake up. So Jenny, Dean, and I will be here on 10 Tampa Bay this morning, and we got you covered. We always start at positive, glass half full, no matter what the forecast. We'll bring the sunshine. We'll need to, because I still think some of those heavier showers come earlier, so I extended it till 10 a.m. all the way through 8 p.m. again tomorrow. And a lot of the models are still saying, yeah, it looks like maybe the late afternoon, early evening for the heaviest rain, but don't be fooled. We got that tropical wave pivoting a bit, and we'll have a little bit more lift in the morning hours as well. So I didn't want us to let our guard down, especially with folks heading out to maybe church services and brunch and things like that. We look at our back to school forecast. How exciting. It's going to be a transition, parents. I know, and the last thing you want is rain. I do feel optimistic. I do. We're going to lower that rain chance closer to 60%, more of your typical pop-up storms. So a few storms for pickup, okay? We're thinking more 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, temperature of 92, and that sunrise is 6:58, so that's important. Okay, so sunrise coming a little later, okay? The days are slowly getting shorter. We gotta watch out for the little ones. And I can't believe we need speed cameras in school zones. Come on, folks. When you're in a school zone, very slow, very slow. We gotta do that, right? We gotta be safe. Protect our kids. So that winds will be out of the east to the southwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour. We're going to be watching for the little ones. So in their little book pack, their little book bags and backpacks here, make sure they have plenty of water. Okay, and you can put a little note in the lunchbox as well. So maybe they're like peanut butter and jelly, and then the little note, and then a little extra chocolate or dessert for lunch. So there they are. Okay, take a look at our 7-day forecast as we finish out what you can expect. So we've got the weather impact alert to finish out our Saturday through 8 o'clock. Sunday, We have it in the morning and the afternoon, and then Monday, there it is. There's the back to school. I said that will transition into a more typical pattern. But keep in mind, once the rain chances start to fall, the temperatures start to rise. All right, 92 on Monday, 93 as we go into Tuesday, Wednesday, and there's the mid-90s by Friday with more of your typical 40% chance of rain. So I'm going to head to the Weather Center now. Are you ready to talk tropics? All right, let's do it. I'm going to come on over here. I have the latest information, looking at the latest from the National Hurricane Center, and we've had a busy time, okay, of it, but if you notice, the storm systems have been really following the same tracks. Let me draw a little bit here. We've had a big ridge of high pressure to the north, so you've really had these tracks that continue to come up and around that high pressure. You can really kind of make it out here, and I'm kind of muddying up the map here, but here, we'll go, there we go. But what we're watching now, and this is key, as we go through the tropical season, these systems like to ride the periphery of these high pressures. Where are those high pressures setting up? Is there a weakness in the high pressure? If there's a weakness in it, they tend to go right toward the weakness. So almost like a lightning going toward metal, or the weakness there. So it's just right now, what we have is a pretty set pattern where the storms are taking a really clear, distinct curve and recurve out to sea. The problem is, as we go through August and into September, the pattern shifts around a bit. Okay, and right now we could see a little bit of a shift as we head into next week and as we finish out August, so that's things we're going to be watching. There's no imminent danger. If you go on the web, you may see some wild ideas and models, but we don't deal in hype here. So let's put it all together. Well, for the first system, the National Hurricane Center has dropped to a 20% chance, so that's good. Invest 96L. Not going to do much. Could it still strengthen a little next week? Maybe, but it's in a low risk at this point of development. And you can see it's in yellow now. So there's one of the big reasons. You got it, Saharan dust. Okay, so that's kind of choking off that development. In fact, I'll come back here to the wall. We'll take a look at that dust together here. But that's kind of helped us so far this season. And another thing that we need to realize as we go through this season, we're not going to always have this dust protecting us, all right? The second area to watch, though, now in orange, that's a change. All right, that's the African wave. Okay, so this is a little bit farther south, it looks like, in its track. The dust is kind of lifting a little farther north, but at the same time, we'll still have to watch this dust as we head through next week. It could help keep that African wave at bay a bit, maybe a little bit. So we take it day by day, but right now, based on its path a little farther south, okay, may not feel the tug of that high pressure as much as those previous systems to the north, so it could go a little farther south, a little farther west, and maybe come a little closer to home. But at this point, yeah, a lot to watch. In fact, we put this in motion Saturday, Sunday. This is next weekend. There's going to be plenty of dust out there. And I think the system, that African wave, by next weekend would actually be toward the Windward Islands. So let's take a look. Okay, so we got tropical wave Invest 97L. So this means the Hurricane Center is going to be watching it very carefully. Usually you got the Invest, and then you get the depression, and then for tropical storms you need 39-mile-per-hour winds. I would not be surprised to see this as our next named system. Okay, I think it could meet that criteria as we head through the week, but look how far from home it is. All right, come on. It's over 3,000 miles from home, just off the African coast. A lot of heavy rain heading toward Cape Verde Islands, or the Cabo Verde Islands here. And then it's going to continue to trek off to the west. All right, so that's what we're going to watch. Now, we take a look at the forecast winds with the Euro. We're looking for some kind of organization. So focus on the bright colors. There's that first Invest that's like, it's just a fish storm and likely not to develop. But this one's a little different. Okay, see, we've got the brighter colors. So we've got winds of 35, 45 miles per hour, maybe even greater. Looks like just to the north side. So again, we're not seeing a tight circulation at this point, but watch what happens. This is Thursday. Okay, let's go into next weekend. There's Bermuda, and we're starting to see a little bit of a close low. And that's why I'm thinking maybe this does have a chance to be named. And by then, not too far from the U.S. Virgin Islands, okay, the British Virgin Islands, and maybe even Puerto Rico, just to the north there. And a lot of the models are in agreement with about where it will be as we head into next Saturday. So that's the agreement. But once we get to this spot, this is what you have to realize. Don't pay attention to what you're seeing on the internet. Nope, because we've got the models just scattering everywhere, north to the west, weakening. All right, weakening with some wind shear. So all solutions are on the table. What makes this different and more interesting, of course, is it's coming a little closer to home. So that's why we're going to keep a very keen eye on it. In fact, we like to get agreement from our models right now, and we at least have some agreement through the week. And then things start to differ as we head into next weekend. But at least as you look at the American GFS and the Euro models here, it's a lot. It looks like spaghetti, right? You got the green in Euro, the white in GFS, but we'll put it into motion and you can see our African wave. They're both in good agreement, right? It looks like they're both showing a little bit of organization. The Euro looks like it's going to come a little bit farther north, and then the American is a little farther south, and it's actually stronger. So that may be a trend that we'll watch, how far north or south it gets. But at this point, we will continue to watch it, and we've got plenty of time. So as we look at the European model, another look at that. Here's this big, large high pressure system to its north. And we've had a little weakness in this high pressure. Really, the storms before this have been splitting the high. One high here, another Bermuda high. So they've been doing a recurve out toward Bermuda. But as we head through the week, what I'll be watching to see is this high pressure consolidates, okay? And it just goes all the way across the Atlantic. And if that happens, it would keep it farther south. But if you look at the last frame here, next weekend, it does look like there will be a little bit of a weakness on its edge, which would tend to draw this to the north again, okay? Maybe a little closer to the United States, we'll see. But at this point, based on what I'm seeing, it does not look like it's extending the ridge all the way across, which would allow this to have an open window or an open window of opportunity to escape once again out to sea. So again, all options on the table. You have some models going continue to head farther west, some to the north, and then some recurving, and then some weakening it. So that's what we'll be watching this week here. And as we look at the 2025 hurricane names, you ready? We got 4 so far, 4 tropical storms. And then Aaron would be the next one, unless they name that fish storm, but it could be Aaron is what we're watching this week in the tropics. And then after that, we got Fernand and Gabrielle, and we're still about ahead of schedule out there. And as we look at our hurricane season, very typical, things ramping up. And here in Tampa, I know we're still on edge based on our last couple of seasons, but hey, it's gonna be okay. We're here for you, and we're gonna be here every step of the way, keeping you and your family safe. So we look at our little graph peeking out here as we head towards September 10th. And as we go into the tropics, is this going to continue? Is the African wave train going to stay busy? Well, it looks like it. Here it is, August 13th through the 19th. Look for the bubbles. So we see that. And sure enough, August 20th through the 26th, we know we have a wave, an African wave ahead of it, but it may be the 2 waves behind it that may be of more concern. So again, it's really day at a time, week at a time. Take a deep breath. It's going to be okay. Yeah. Okay. So we take a look at our wind shear forecast across the Atlantic here at home. And what you're looking for, we want lots of blues on the map because that tends to shear these African waves apart before they can really get started and become like steam engines. All right. So right now, as we go through next weekend, we are seeing some indications of shear near the islands where that wave is. So again, I said, a lot of folks are putting tracks on the table saying, oh, here it comes. But no, we don't have any threat, anything like that here close to home for at least the next 7 to 10 days, not until August 20th and thereafter, if it even survives the wind shear. And we have to see exactly if that high pressure weakness will steer it farther to the north and then again recurve it out to sea like we've seen so often this season. And it's pretty interesting. So the 3 tracks we're tracking this year matches up pretty well with 2018. And right now the track that's winning is the one that recurves out to sea around that high pressure. I like it. It could be a trend. So a lot of times meteorologists, we like watching what's happening in July, August, so we can prepare for the meat of the season. And right now, track 1 is winning. There's track 2. We're going to keep that away this year, right? We don't want track 2 toward Florida, and then track 3 toward the Gulf of Mexico. We don't want that one either. But right now, if you look at the analog year, it would tend to indicate hopefully we'll have more recurves this year than storms that are barreling toward us here in Florida. And we're due for a break. Hurricane forecast this year, everything's on track. NOAA actually updated their forecast this week, and there's no big changes. So 14 named storms, 7 hurricanes, 3 major hurricanes, and there's NOAA's forecast still on par, just a bit above average, and we'll keep you updated. And again, it's not the numbers. It only takes 1, as we know. All right, let's reset it. Ready? We'll come back over and take a look at the latest on the weather impact alert. So if you're joining us, we're live here at 1224. We've had a couple showers around the area, and it still looks like everything's on track to really peak late today and this evening. So I've got that weather impact alert 2 o'clock to 8 o'clock, and notice as we go into Sunday, it's coming a little bit earlier. So we've got that onset at 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. that could affect your plans. So widespread heavy rain, downpours, flooding. We're streaming here on 10 Tampa Bay Plus. Radar right now. Continue to watch things very carefully. And, you know, we're zooming in here a little bit. I think as we go into Pinellas, the area to watch right now as we go into the next couple of hours will be right here. You can really see it developing. So really the inland areas, things are going to be the first to change, and we're already starting to see those popcorn showers. And what they're going to do is they're going to fill in and become more widespread as we head through the afternoon. So our first storm zone, so to speak, to watch as we head toward 2, 3, 4 o'clock would be Polk County. That's Hardy County, DeSoto, Highlands County, all the way up into Sumter County. So be extra careful if you're out on the roads. We've had a few renegade showers so far across Pinellas. There's Clearwater. They've got the clear, so hopefully you can go get that grouper sandwich now. I still think we're going to get some good beach time into Reddington Shores. Boca Ciega looking good. Sunshine Skyway looking good, and over to Port Tampa, Carrollwood, yes, Keystone, Tarpon Springs, a little shower in the vicinity, but again, the big rain for these areas will hold off until we head into later this afternoon. So here at 10 Tampa Bay, let's look at some of the latest data. We only have have a minute, Troy. 45, so let's pull up the very latest map, see if we have any changes here. And at this time, let's go right into here and we'll get you the latest information. So that's what it's all about. All right, 30 seconds. Come on, high resolution model update. So there it is. Okay, seeing the isolated showers start to fill in across the area.